The Galactic Convention Center on Station Nexus 7 hummed with the chatter of 1,000 species. Translators buzzed, converting clicks, whistles, and roars into comprehensible language. Among the crowd, a young Ursidian named Kazrik stood out, not just for his species' imposing bear-like stature, but for the fortune that preceded his reputation. At only 30 cycles old, barely more than a cub by Ursidian standards, Kazrik had inherited the vast Thornpaw mining empire. Asteroid belts across 4 sectors bore his family's claim markers, while other heirs squandered their wealth on pleasure cruisers and exotic pets. Kazrik had developed a peculiar fascination. Humanity. The humans were a curiosity in the galactic community, a species that had clawed its way to the stars despite having no natural armor, no venomous bite, no telepathic abilities. They were physically unremarkable, yet somehow they had survived and thrived. But what caught Kazrik's attention wasn't humanity's achievements. It was their struggles. On the Outer Rim colonies, human settlements barely survived. The Galactic Council had designated Earth and its children as Class C sentients after first contact, a bureaucratic classification that meant reduced trade rights and limited representation. Human colonies received minimal support, their requests for aid lost in endless committee reviews, while wealthier species petitions sailed through. Kazrik had visited the human settlement on Kepler 442's moon during a mining survey. What he saw there had shaken something deep within his chest. Children, small, fragile human cubs, wore clothes patched so many times that little original fabric remained. They learned their lessons in structures that leaked atmosphere at the seams. Their parents worked triple shifts in dangerous conditions just to afford basic nutritional supplements. Yet despite everything, those children had smiled at him. They had asked questions about his fur, his homeworld, whether bears in space still liked honey. They had shown him drawings of Earth, a planet most had never seen, and spoke with wonder about stars they hoped to explore someday. That night, Kazrik couldn't recharge his neural pathways. He kept seeing those small faces, those dreams held together by hope alone. The next morning, he made a call that would perplex his financial advisors for weeks to come. 3 months later, Kazrik stood on a makeshift stage in the Kepler 442 Settlement's Recreation Dome. The structure was the largest building in the colony, though by Ursidian standards, it would barely qualify as a storage shed. Every human family in the settlement had gathered, children sitting cross-legged at the front while parents stood nervously behind. "Thank you for coming," Kazrik began, his translator rendering his deep, rumbling voice into clear human English. "I know many of you took time from your shifts to be here. I promise this will be worth it." He gestured to the hovering display panels that materialized beside him. Images of the colony's children appeared, all 247 of them, from infants to teenagers. "For the past month, I've been reviewing the educational records of every young human in this settlement," Kazrik continued. "Your teachers, despite having almost no resources, provided me with detailed reports." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some parents looked worried. Had their children done something wrong? "I'm here today to announce the first annual Thornpaw Prize for Human Youth Excellence," Kazrik said. 75 prizes, each worth 10,000 galactic credits. The dome fell silent. 10,000 credits was more than most families here earned in a year. "But," Kazrik held up a massive paw, "these prizes aren't just for the highest academic scores or the strongest athletic performance. Those things matter, yes, but humanity's strength lies elsewhere." He tapped the display, and new criteria appeared. Kindness shown to others, persistence in the face of difficulty, creative problem-solving with limited resources, helping family and community, asking questions and seeking knowledge, protecting those weaker than yourself. These, Kesrick declared, are the qualities that will help humanity thrive among the stars. These are what make your species remarkable. For the next hour, Kazrik called names. A 10-year-old girl who had tutored younger children despite her own struggles with reading. A teenage boy who had repaired the settlement's water filtration system using spare parts and a maintenance manual he'd memorized. A 7-year-old who had organized the other children to grow a community garden in the hydroponics bay. Each winner approached the stage in stunned silence. Some cried. Parents wept openly. Kazrik presented each child with a credit sheet and a handwritten certificate on real paper, a luxury most had never touched. But he wasn't finished. "Every child here is receiving something today," Kazrick announced. "Those who didn't win a major prize will each receive 1,000 credits, because every single one of you shows up, tries, and dreams of something better. That deserves recognition." The dome erupted in chaos. Children cheered, parents embraced. Some colonists openly questioned whether this was real or some kind of elaborate mistake. Kazrick's security chief, a grizzled Ursidian named Marta, leaned close. "Sir, the council is going to have questions. This much wealth transfer to a Class C species settlement will trigger reviews." "Let them review," Kazrick rumbled. "I've broken no laws. These are gifts freely given." "The other heirs will mock you," Marta warned. "They'll say you're wasting the Thornpaw fortune on primitives." Kazrick looked out at the celebrating families. A small girl was showing her certificate to everyone she could reach, babbling about how she could finally afford the medical treatment for her mother's respiratory condition. A teenage boy stood frozen, staring at his credit chit like it might vanish if he looked away. "Then let them mock," Kazrick said quietly. "My ancestors dug wealth from dead rocks in the void. What use is that wealth if not to nurture life where it struggles to take root?" The news spread across human settlements like wildfire. The billionaire cub, as human media dubbed him, became a sensation. Other settlements reached out, hopeful. Ursidian society was less enthusiastic. Many saw Kazrick's actions as undignified charity beneath someone of his status. But Kazrick didn't stop. He established the Thornpaw Foundation, hiring human administrators to identify communities in need. The prizes continued, expanding to other settlements. Scholarships followed, then infrastructure investments. Where the Galactic Council saw Class C sentience worthy of minimal resources, Kazrick saw potential. 5 years later, the first human won a major galactic science prize, a young woman from Kepler 442 who had developed a revolutionary atmosphere processor. In her acceptance speech, she held up a worn certificate signed by an Ursidian cub who had believed in her when she was just a child with patched clothes and big dreams. Kazrick watched the broadcast from his office and felt his chest rumble with satisfaction. The other heirs could keep their pleasure cruisers. He was investing in something that would echo through generations. Humanity remembered. And humanity, as the galaxy would eventually learn, never forgot those who stood with them when they had nothing. The poor human children who received those first prizes grew up. They became scientists, engineers, teachers, and leaders. They told their own children about the billionaire cub who saw worth where others saw only poverty. They built monuments and named scholarships and ensured his name would be spoken with reverence for centuries to come. Because that, more than any amount of credits or any number of asteroid mines, was true wealth, the kind that couldn't be measured, couldn't be taxed, and would never run dry.